You make big plans. You feel stuck anyway. And at night, the guilt eats you alive. This story might change the way you see yourself forever. If you've been wondering how to stop procrastinating, but nothing seems to work, this might be the shift you've never heard before. Nina had the kind of mind that moved like electricity. Quick, brilliant, always crackling with potential. But her life? It felt like a dim room full of unlit lamps. Her brilliance never quite translated into action. And behind the neatly arranged journals, the color-coded task boards, and the growing folder of productivity PDFs was a quiet, aching truth. She was trapped in the habit of procrastination. Her mornings always started with promise. The alarm would buzz, sunlight spilling across the room like a clean slate. Her eyes fluttered open with a spark of hope. Today will be different. But by noon, she'd be curled on the couch, phone in hand, watching strangers on YouTube live the life she kept planning to start. Her spine slumped, her body slowly melting into cushions that had become her unwilling throne. Nina tried to think her way out of procrastination. She made master plans during midnight highs, binge-watched motivational videos like spiritual sermons, and wrote to-do lists so long they looked like scrolls from a forgotten kingdom. Her tactic? Wait for the moment when everything felt just right. It never came. She clung to the myth that she worked better under pressure. But the pressure always arrived with a vengeance. As deadlines loomed, her jaw tightened until it ached. Her heart thudded against her ribs like a frantic prisoner. Her thoughts raced, not toward clarity, but into chaos. The work got done, barely. But the cost was sleepless nights, caffeine-fueled anxiety, and a rising tide of self-loathing that wrapped around her like wet wool. Nina didn't start unless she knew it would be flawless. But perfect is a cruel gatekeeper. She spent hours rearranging her desk, color-coordinating her pens, choosing the ideal playlist, and still never started. She'd whisper, "I just need 5 more minutes," then fall into another hour of avoidance. Her hands hovered above her keyboard, frozen in hesitation. It wasn't laziness, it was fear dressed in precision. Every task left undone became a ghost that haunted her. Lying in bed at night, she'd stare at the ceiling as invisible weights pressed down on her chest. The regret was physical, a slow, burning pressure that made it hard to breathe. She'd whisper to herself, "Why can't I just do the things I say I want to do?" The self-blame was relentless, her throat tightening with guilt she didn't know how to release. She kept waiting for the moment when the stars would align. That magical window where energy and clarity and desire would finally meet. But most days, she felt nothing but a dull fog behind her eyes, a heaviness in her legs as if even standing up required a pep talk. Her life became a series of false starts and broken promises, mostly to herself. Then came a crack in the cycle, a moment so small it could have been missed. One rainy afternoon, as droplets traced delicate rivers down her window, she opened a podcast purely out of boredom. The guest spoke not of hacks or hustle, but neuroscience. Procrastination, the voice said, is not a time problem. It's an emotion problem. Nina sat upright. Her heart skipped like a record scratched by truth. Procrastination wasn't her failure. It was her brain trying to protect her from discomfort. The avoidance wasn't laziness. It was self-defense. That night, something inside Nina softened. She whispered to herself, "I'm not broken. I've just been protecting myself the only way I knew how." And for the first time, she didn't try to fix everything. She just decided to start small. Nina rewired her entire approach with what she called the gentle start. Instead of demanding a perfect performance, she gave herself permission to begin badly, but kindly. Not write chapter, just open the dock. Not clean apartment, just fold one shirt. She touched her sternum before each task, a grounding ritual, and reminded herself, progress lives in motion, not perfection. The irony? Once she began, she often kept going. Not from pressure, but from peace. Over time, her brain stopped associating work with panic. She stopped needing motivation. She started building momentum. Her life became a rhythm of soft starts and quiet victories. She still had off days, but now instead of spiraling, she laughed. She forgave herself. She reset with compassion. Nina didn't become superhuman. She became honest with herself, with time, with the process. Now, her world isn't built on urgency. It's built on aligned action. And when people ask her, "How did you finally beat procrastination?" she smiles, tilts her head, and replies, "I stopped fighting myself." Because in the end, she didn't just get things done. She reclaimed her trust in her own two hands, and that changed everything. If you saw yourself in Nina, you're not alone. Maybe this is your gentle start too. Subscribe if you're ready to stop fighting yourself.